Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're like most people, you know you should be eating healthy, but then evening rolls around, you hit that wall, that decision fatigue thing. You stare into the fridge, and suddenly ordering takeout just seems, well, like the only logical choice. Our mission today is really to cut through that friction. We're diving deep into a streamlined system for weekly meal prep. The Promise. Saving
Yeah.
you hours every single week while making sure you're getting balanced, actually delicious nutrition.
Yeah, and we're calling this deep dive Save Hours Each Week While Eating Better Than Ever. Because the ultimate goal here, it's not just about saving time, though that's huge. It's really achieving what feels impossible sometimes. Assembling a nutritious, satisfying, and balanced meal in, get this, 15 minutes or less.
15 minutes. Wow, that's a total game changer, isn't it? That basically means the cooking is, essentially done before the week even kicks off. So what's the absolute key? The single most crucial piece that makes that kind of speed even possible?
It really boils down to the core component formula. We have to eliminate the guesswork about nutrition. Every single meal needs to hit three key things to be satisfying and properly fueling. It absolutely needs protein, it needs healthy carbs, and it needs good fats. Seriously, if those three things are on your plate, you've basically nailed it. You've met your goals for that meal.
Okay. So let's unpack that blueprint. Starting with the planning phase. I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, right? They imagine planning means, I don't know, mapping out 50 complicated exotic recipes or something. But you're saying the real goal is different. It's about minimizing that stress of choice later in the week.
Precisely. That's exactly it. We are fighting decision fatigue head on. Think about it. When you come home tired, the last thing you want to do is decide between salmon and steak, right? You just want the protein to be there, available. So during this planning phase, you commit to rotating just a small, manageable selection of those foundational components.
Right. Makes sense. So we start with the building blocks of fullness.
Right.
Protein. How many options should we aim for? Enough for variety, but not, overwhelming.
Yeah, good question. We usually recommend identifying and making sure you have, say, 5 to 7 protein sources on hand to rotate through. These are your anchors.
Yeah.
Things like eggs, chicken, maybe some fish, beans, Greek yogurt. They form the base of every meal, and critically, they're what keep you feeling full longer, which helps prevent those mid-afternoon snack cravings we all know too well.
Okay. 5 to 7 proteins. And what about the fuel side? For, sustained energy and keeping your brain working.
Right, that's where your healthy carbs come in. You'll want to select maybe 5 to 7 carbohydrate options as well. Focus on whole grains mostly. Brown rice, quinoa, oats, sweet potatoes are all great choices. These give you that sustained energy release so you avoid the crash that often sends you reaching for, sugary processed stuff.
Got it. And finally, for satisfaction. And you mentioned brain function, too. We need the fats.
That's right. A slightly smaller list here usually works well. Maybe 3 to 5 healthy fat sources. Think avocado, nuts, olive oil, maybe some strategic cheese if that's your thing. And they aren't just for flavor, though that helps. They deliver satiety, that feeling of fullness, and crucial nutrients for, optimal mental performance.
So once you've got your list of PCF ingredients, your 5-7 proteins, 5-7 carbs, 3A5 fats, we move into what you called a real efficiency hack for planning. Optimizing the shopping trip itself. Why is organizing that list by store section so critical? Seems like a small detail.
Oh, but it's not, because time wasted wandering in a store really adds up. And every minute you save shopping is a minute you don't spend dreading the cooking later. Organizing the list by the store's layout, like produce first, then dairy, etc. It ensures you hit every item with minimal backtracking. You're in, you're out.
And I guess the hidden benefit there is preventing that awful midweek crisis when you realize you forgot the one spice or vegetable you needed for tonight's dinner. That forced return trip just completely undermines the entire time-saving structure you're trying to build.
Exactly. It torpedoes the whole plan.
Okay, this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. Moving from the plan, the list, to actually doing it. Execution. Let's talk about navigating the grocery store based on this PCF framework.
Right. So when you enter the store, the general rule is stick to the perimeter first. That usually means you're hitting the fresh produce section, the dairy cases, the meat and fish counters, those outer edges.
Why prioritize the edges? Is there, a core nutritional advantage to that route? Or just layout.
Well, it's partly layout, but it's mostly nutritional. The center aisles are typically where most of the highly processed, preservative-heavy foods live, the boxes, the bags, the cans. By focusing on the perimeter first, you naturally prioritize fresh, whole foods, the stuff that aligns perfectly with our three-component structure. And often, these whole foods require less complex cooking prep later on, too.
Right, makes sense. And a key part of speed you mentioned is versatility. What specific shopping advice helps ensure the ingredients we buy can pull double or even triple duty?
Yeah, versatility is huge. Always look for ingredients that can easily morph into, say, 3 different meal types without much fuss. Canned beans are the classic example, the real workhorse here. They can be a simple salad topping one night, right? Then maybe mashed into a quick veggie burger patty the next, or even blended into a soup base later in the week. So you buy one item, but you essentially unlocked 3 potential dinners right there.
Smart. And a major efficiency note you touched on. Don't overlook the frozen aisle, especially for produce.
Oh, absolutely. Prioritize it. Don't hesitate with frozen vegetables. They're often picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen, locking in nutrients. They literally never go bad in your freezer. Plus, they're often pre-chopped, which is a massive time saver, and they cook incredibly quickly. Steaming, roasting,
Yeah.
super fast. They are an absolutely essential tool for consistently hitting that 15-minute meal goal.
Okay, now, let's be real for a second. Everyone has those days. You know the ones. You're just too tired, maybe you worked late, you're starving, and your motivation is basically zero. This is where your safety net comes in. I think we've all had that moment, just staring blankly into the pantry, paralyzed by hunger. What specific ingredients should we always keep stocked for those absolute emergencies?
Yeah, you absolutely need certain staples available for those ultra-quick, almost zero-effort meals. Things like eggs, definitely. Canned beans, again, Greek yogurt is great. Canned tuna or salmon, some basic pasta, maybe some frozen fruits for a quick smoothie base. These are your break glass in case of emergency items. Seriously, planning for failure for those off days is almost more important than just planning for success.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, now the real heart of the time-saving philosophy, batch prep. Why spend, say, 30 minutes cooking a single serving of rice when we can use that same 30 minutes to cook enough for 5 days?
It's pure economy of scale, just applied to your kitchen. It's all about simultaneous preparation, getting multiple things done at once. We usually break this down into 3 efficient, overlapping steps. Step 1, cook a large batch of your chosen grains or starches. Make a big pot of rice or quinoa, or cook a box of whole wheat pasta. It takes pretty much the same amount of active time and stove time as cooking a small amount, right? But boom, you've just created your healthy carb base for the entire work week. Done.
Okay, step 1, bulk grains.
Yeah.
And step 2, you mentioned leveraging oven time.
Exactly. While those grains are simmering away on the stove, maximize your oven space. Roast a big sheet pan of mixed vegetables, toss them with a little oil, salt, pepper, maybe some garlic powder. This leverages the energy the oven is already using, gets another component done, and now you have your quick vegetable side ready for assembly all week.
Grains cooking, veggies roasting.
Okay.
What's step 3?
Step 3 is prepping your proteins in batches. While the other stuff is cooking, maybe grill several chicken breasts at once, or hard-boil a dozen eggs, or cook up a big batch of ground turkey or lean beef. And here's a really crucial tip. Use basic, versatile seasonings, just salt, pepper, maybe that garlic powder again. Keep the flavor profile neutral. Why? So that same cooked chicken can easily become part of a Mexican bowl on Tuesday, an Asian stir-fry add-in on Wednesday, or go into an Italian pasta dish on Thursday. Versatility again.
Okay, so we've spent maybe 30, 45 minutes. We've cooked all this food, grains, veggies, proteins. Now, if I just leave it all cooling on the stove or counter in those big batches, why is that actually a critical time-wasting error later in the week? Seems easier in the moment.
Because you're sacrificing crucial assembly speed later for a tiny bit of convenience now. It's a bad trade-off. The absolutely crucial final step of batch prep is immediate portioning. As soon as things are cool enough to handle, you must transfer those cooked ingredients into individual meal-sized containers right away. Think about Monday morning or Tuesday evening. When you grab a container from the fridge, you shouldn't have to think about how much rice to scoop or how many broccoli florets. It should already be the right amount, sealed up, labeled maybe, and just ready to grab and go or grab and heat. That's the key to the 15-minute assembly.
Okay, so now we picture it. The fridge is stocked. We have these neat containers pre-portioned with our proteins, carbs, and veggies. What does assembly look like? We need methods that totally remove the need for measuring cups or scales, right? Keep it fast.
Exactly. No measuring needed. We have 2 fantastic, really intuitive portioning methods. The first one is called the Palm method, and I like this one because it's automatically personalized. It scales the portion size to the individual hand size. So it's simple. You use a portion of protein that's about the size of your palm. Okay. Then for your healthy carbs, you use about a cupped handful. And for your healthy fats, think about the size of your thumb. That's roughly your portion. It's super quick. It's inherently balanced because it scales to you. And yeah, you don't need any tools whatsoever.
That imperative personalized scaling makes a ton of sense. Palm for protein, handful for carbs, thumb for fats. Easy to remember. But what if you prefer like a visual guide right there on the plate, especially maybe for dinner? Is there an alternative? Yep, there is. The plate method. This works great, especially for larger meals like dinner. You just visually aim to fill about half your plate with non-starchy vegetables. All those roasted veggies we made. Then 1/4 of the plate is dedicated to your protein source, and the remaining 1/4 is for your healthy carbs, the rice, quinoa, sweet potato. Then you just add a small amount of healthy fats over the top, maybe a drizzle of olive oil, some sliced avocado, or a sprinkle of nuts or seeds. Got it. Half veggies, 1/4 protein, 1/4 carbs, plus a little fat. Both methods sound like they really eliminate that dreaded measuring step. But, even with pre-portioned ingredients ready to go, the mind can still freeze up sometimes deciding what components to combine. How do we eliminate that cognitive load?
Ah, yes. You automate the combinations themselves. You have to. You basically eliminate the guesswork by creating at least 3, maybe 4 formula meals. These are your absolute go-to combinations that you know work, you know you like, and you can make without even thinking, definitely without needing a recipe. Things like maybe canned tuna plus whole wheat pasta plus roasted asparagus is one formula, or Greek yogurt plus oats plus berries plus nuts is another. You just rely on these formulas, especially when you're tired or rushed. They make healthy eating feel truly automatic.
Formula meals, I like that. Takes the thinking out. Okay, and finally, let's circle back to that true emergency plan. We talked about having the ingredients stocked, the beans, the eggs, etc. But what about specific strategies for those days when you're just too exhausted to even, turn on the microwave or boil water?
Right. It's not just ingredients, it's having the plan. You need specific, practically no-cook emergency meal strategies. Establish 2 or 3 ultra-quick options that require minimal effort. For instance, maybe mashing some canned beans with a little salsa or seasoning and stuffing that into a whole grain pita bread with a drizzle of olive oil. That takes maybe 2 minutes. Or simply mixing canned tuna or salmon with Greek yogurt instead of mayo, maybe adding some chopped celery if you have it and putting it on a small piece of whole grain toast or some crackers. The absolute rule remains, though. Even the emergency strategy must still follow that 3-component formula: protein, carb, fat. No exceptions, even when you're utterly exhausted. That ensures it's still a balanced meal.
This whole process, it sounds great, but it isn't just a one-weekend project, is it? It's really about building a sustainable habit. Consistency, probably more than perfection, seems like the secret ingredient that unlocks all those time savings we've been talking about.
Absolutely. The consistency anchor, the thing that holds it all together week after week, is scheduling a specific, non-negotiable weekly batch cooking session. Even if it's only 30 minutes. Seriously, just 30 minutes locked into your calendar. Sunday afternoon, maybe. Making healthy food available is the foundational action. That consistency ensures healthy eating is actually possible, even during your absolute busiest weeks.
Yeah, 30 minutes on a Sunday seems like a ridiculously cheap price to pay for avoiding hours of stress, anxiety, and bad decisions during the 5 weekdays.
It really is. And as you implement this system, you need to learn from yourself. Create a feedback loop. I always advise people to keep quick notes, maybe just on their phone, of their favorite, most successful meal combinations. If that grilled chicken plus quinoa plus roasted broccoli combo worked perfectly, tasted great, and was easy to assemble, jot it down. This builds your own internal database of wins. It allows you to repeat successful, stress-free meals without ever having to plan from scratch again. You just pick from your proven list.
That makes the system self-improving over time. Smart. Finally, what's the long view here? How do we make sure the system doesn't get stale or we don't burn out on it?
Great point. You need to build in a little evaluation time. Maybe once a month, just take 10 minutes to think about how it's going. Did you run out of rice too fast last month? Did you end up wasting those carrots because you prepped too many? Did one of your go-to formula meals suddenly become boring? Making small tweaks based on your actual experience keeps your meal system effective for your changing schedule and tastes. It prevents that system burnout and maintains peak efficiency. Hashtag check outro.
So let's recap. We covered the 5 key phases of achieving true meal prep efficiency, starting with strategic planning, that 5-7 protein, 5-7 carb, 3-5 fat rotation idea. Then moving to smart shopping, focusing on the perimeter and versatility. Then that crucial focused batch prep session. followed by zero-effort assembly using things like the Palmer Plate method and formula meals. And finally, ensuring long-term sustainability through consistency and adaptation. The core promise holds. You really can achieve optimized macro balance, great nutrient density in meals that take you 15 minutes or less to actually put together.
And, this efficiency, it's really about more than just saving 10 or 15 minutes at dinner time, though that's fantastic. When you systematically remove those repeated, low stakes but draining decisions about food, what should I buy? What should I cook tonight? What goes with what you dramatically reduce your daily cognitive load, you free up brain space. And that raises, I think, a really important question for everyone listening. How else could streamlining simple, repetitive daily tasks like cooking and shopping improve your overall focus and energy? When you successfully reclaim that mental bandwidth that used to go towards stressing about food, what kind of more ambitious projects or complex problems or even just relaxing activities do you now have the focus and energy to tackle?
That's definitely something to mull over this week, maybe while you're enjoying your quick, stress-free 15-minute dinner. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.